I stood in that lawyer's office and watched a woman I'd never met cry over my husband's will. She was wearing his mother's pearls. Before we begin, drop a comment below with your country and what time it is right now where you're watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't just sit back. Tell me where in the world you are. Now, let's dive into the story. The room smelled like old paper and lemon polish. The lawyer, Mr. Brennan, thick glasses, coffee stain on his tie, sat behind a mahogany desk that took up half the room. My daughter, Patricia, sat to my left, stiff as cardboard. My son, Daniel, was on my right, checking his phone every 30 seconds. And across from me, in the chair closest to the window, sat this stranger. She was maybe 40. Blonde hair pulled back tight, navy dress, tasteful. But those pearls, I knew those pearls. Gerald's mother had worn them every Sunday to church for 20 years. Mr. Brennan cleared his throat. He opened a folder, blue paper, official-looking seals. He started reading. The house on Clearview Drive, that was our house, mine and Gerald's, where we'd raised 2 children and hosted 37 Thanksgivings, was going to her. Catherine Moreno, that was her name. He said it twice. The investment accounts Gerald and I had built over 43 years of marriage, hers. The lake cabin in Wisconsin where Daniel caught his first fish, hers. Even Gerald's life insurance policy, the one I'd been listed on since 1981. All of it, her name, over and over. Patricia made a small sound, like a hiccup. Daniel stopped looking at his phone. I didn't move. Catherine, Miss Moreno, dabbed her eyes with a tissue. Real tears, I think, or maybe not. Hard to tell. She looked at me once, quick, then looked away. Guilty, maybe, or triumphant. I couldn't tell that either. Mr. Brennan kept reading. Legal language, whereas and heretofore. I stopped listening to the words. I watched Catherine instead. The way she twisted that tissue, the way she touched the pearls at her throat like they were a rosary. Gerald had been dead 3 weeks. 3 weeks since the heart attack in the Costco parking lot. 3 weeks since I'd identified his body at County General. 3 weeks since I'd picked out his casket. Oak, brass handles, blue interior, because he always liked blue. And now this. When Mr. Brennan finished reading, he closed the folder. He folded his hands on top of it. He looked at me with something like pity. "Mrs. Fletcher," he said, "I know this is difficult." Difficult, that was the word he used. Patricia started crying, actual sobbing. Daniel put his arm around her. He looked at me, his face red, his jaw tight. "Mom," he said, "Mom, we're gonna fight this." "We're going to—" "It's legal," Mr. Brennan said. His voice was firm but gentle, like he was talking to a child. "The will was executed properly, witnessed, notarized. Mrs. Fletcher, you're entitled to contest it, of course, but I have to tell you, Mr. Fletcher was very clear about his wishes." Catherine spoke for the first time. Her voice was softer than I expected. "I'm sorry," she said. She wasn't looking at me. She was looking at her hands. "I know this is hard. Gerald, he cared about you, he did, but he wanted to make sure I was taken care of." Taken care of. I thought about Gerald's last birthday. I made shepherd's pie and some fruit kebabs, his favorite. He'd eaten 2 helpings. He'd kissed my cheek. He'd said, 43 years, Jeannie, best investment I ever made." He'd laughed. I'd laughed. 2 months ago. That was 2 months ago. Now I was sitting in this office and a stranger was wearing his mother's pearls and a lawyer was telling me I had no house. I stood up, slowly. My knees hurt. They always hurt after sitting too long. Patricia grabbed my arm. "Mom, where you going?" "Home," I said. "But Mom—" "I'm going home." Mr. Brennan stood too. Mrs. Fletcher, we need to discuss next steps. There are documents you need to sign, transfer paperwork. The house will need to be vacated within 30 days, I said. I know how evictions work. His face changed, surprised maybe. It's not an eviction exactly. 30 days, I repeated. I walked out. Patricia and Daniel followed, both of them talking at once, asking questions I didn't answer. In the parking lot, I unlocked my car, a 2004 Honda Civic, green, with a dent in the passenger door from when Gerald backed into a mailbox in 2011. Daniel grabbed the car door before I could close it. Mom, we're calling another lawyer. Today, this afternoon. We're not letting this happen. I looked up at him. My son, 40 years old, mortgage, 2 kids, a job that barely covered it all. He couldn't afford a lawyer, not the kind we'd need. Go home, Daniel, I said. But Mom, go home. I closed the door, started the engine, drove. The house felt different when I walked in, like it knew, like it was already preparing to belong to someone else. I made tea, Earl Grey, same as always. I sat at the kitchen table, the one Gerald and I bought at an estate sale in 1985. Oak, scarred from years of homework and craft projects and bills spread out in careful piles. I drank the tea, looked out the window at the backyard, the garden I'd planted. The tomatoes were coming in, red, heavy on the vine. I thought about Catherine Marino, about her sitting in my house, sleeping in my bedroom, cooking in my kitchen. I thought about Gerald, about the way he'd kissed my cheek on his birthday, about the way he'd said, best investment. I finished the tea, rinsed the cup, set it in the dish rack. Then I went upstairs to the bedroom, our bedroom. I opened the closet, pushed past Gerald's shirts. I hadn't had the heart to pack them yet. Behind the shirts, on the top shelf, behind a box of old tax returns, was a fireproof safe. I pulled it down, set it on the bed, opened it. Inside was a manila envelope, sealed, my name written on the front in Gerald's handwriting. I'd found it 2 days after he died, hidden, locked away. I hadn't opened it yet, but now I did. Catherine Moreno showed up at my house 6 days after the will reading. I was pulling weeds in the front garden. The marigolds needed thinning. I'd planted them in April, same as every year. Gerald always said they looked cheerful. I wasn't feeling cheerful, but the weeds didn't care. A silver Lexus pulled into my driveway. She got out. Different outfit this time. White blouse, tan slacks, sunglasses, still wearing the pearls. She walked across my lawn like she'd done it 100 times. "Mrs. Fletcher," she said. I didn't stand up, kept pulling weeds. My hands were dirty, soil under my nails. "Miss Moreno," I said. "Catherine, please." She came closer, stopped a few feet away. "Can we talk?" "We are talking." She smiled, nervous. "I mean, inside, please. I think we got off on the wrong foot." I pulled another weed, dropped it in the bucket beside me. "You're wearing my mother-in-law's pearls," I said. "I don't think there's a right foot." Her hand went to her throat, touched the pearls. "Gerald gave them to me." "I know. He wanted me to have them. I know that too." I looked up at her, squinted in the sun. "You want something, Miss Moreno, so ask." She shifted, uncomfortable. "Good. I wanted to talk about the transition, moving in. I thought maybe we could work together, make it easier." "Easier?" "Yes." I stood up, slowly, brushed the dirt off my knees. "You want me to help you move into my house? It's not—" She stopped, started again. I know this is complicated, but Gerald loved you. He did, and he loved me. We can both be adults about this." Adults. I looked at her, really looked. She was younger up close. Lines around her eyes, but not many. Good skin, expensive haircut. She probably went to that salon on 3rd Street, the one that charges $80 for a cut. "How long?" I asked. "What? How long were you sleeping with my husband?" She flinched. "I don't think that's how long." A pause, then quietly, 7 years. 7 years. I thought about 7 years ago. Gerald's retirement party. We'd rented the VFW hall, 50 people. I'd made 3 cakes, chocolate, lemon, carrot. Gerald had given a speech, thanked me, called me his rock. That was 7 years ago. "Get off my lawn," I said. "Mrs. Fletcher, you've got 24 days left before your 30 days are up. Until then, this is still my house, my lawn, my garden. Get off it." Her face hardened. The nervous smile disappeared. "You're making this harder than it needs to be." "Good." "Gerald wanted. Gerald's dead." The words came out flat, cold. They surprised me. "And you're not moving into this house." She laughed. Actually laughed. "The will is legal, Mrs. Fletcher. I've already talked to Mr. Brennan. You can't stop this." "We'll see." "There's nothing to see. It's done." She turned to leave, then stopped, looked back. "You know what Gerald told me? He said you were cold, that you never appreciated him, that he felt invisible in his own home." I didn't answer. She got in her Lexus, drove away. I stood there in the garden, alone, the marigolds bright and yellow in the sun. Invisible. Patricia called that night. "Mom, I found a lawyer. Her name's Beth Rivera. She specializes in estate law. She wants to meet with you tomorrow." "No, thank you, honey." "Mom, we have to fight this." "I'm handling it." "How? By pulling weeds?" Her voice cracked. "Mom, you're losing your house. You're losing everything. We have to do something." I was sitting at the kitchen table, same spot as always. Cup of tea, chamomile this time. The envelope from the safe was in front of me, still sealed. "I said I'm handling it," I repeated. "With what? You don't have money for a lawyer. Daniel and we've been talking. We can pool some funds, but—" "Patricia, it's not going to be much, and we'd need to take out a loan, but—" "Patricia, stop." Silence. Then quietly, "I don't understand, Mom. Why aren't you fighting? Why are you just sitting there?" "Good question. Why wasn't I fighting? Why wasn't I screaming, crying, calling lawyers, storming into Mr. Brennan's office with demands and threats? Because I'd learned something a long time ago. People underestimate quiet women. They mistake silence for weakness, stillness for surrender. Gerald had made that mistake for 43 years. "I'll call you tomorrow," I said. "Mom!" I hung up. I picked up the envelope. Gerald's handwriting, neat, careful. He'd always had good handwriting. Inside was a single sheet of paper, typed, dated 3 years ago, before the will that Mr. Brennan had read, before Catherine Moreno's name appeared on any document. It was another will, the real one. In it, everything, house, accounts, cabin, insurance, went to me. Patricia and Daniel were listed as secondary beneficiaries. Catherine Moreno wasn't mentioned. At the bottom, Gerald's signature, and 2 witness signatures I recognized, Bill Turner from next door and Susan Alfred from Gerald's Rotary Club. Both still alive, both still able to testify. Also in the envelope, a letter, handwritten, also Gerald's writing. "Jeannie, if you're reading this, I'm gone, and I'm guessing Catherine has made her move. I need you to know the will Brennan has is fake. I didn't write it. I don't know how she got it, but she's been planning this for over a year. She thinks I don't notice things, but I do. This will, the one you're holding, is real. It's registered with the county clerk, filed properly. Brennan doesn't know about it because I used a different lawyer. His name is Thomas Whitmore. His number is below. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for all of it. The lying, the affair, the years I wasted. You deserved better. Gerald. I read it twice. Then I folded it, put it back in the envelope, finished my tea, thought about Catherine Moreno standing on my lawn, wearing those pearls, telling me I was making things harder than they needed to be. Tomorrow, I'd call Thomas Whitmore, but tonight I sat in my kitchen, in my house, at my table, and I let Catherine Moreno think she'd won. Thomas Whitmore's office was nothing like Brennan's, small, above a dry cleaner on 5th Street. The receptionist was maybe 70, reading a romance novel with a shirtless man on the cover. "Mrs. Fletcher?" she said without looking up. "Yes." "He's expecting you. Go on back." Whitmore himself was younger than I expected, maybe 50, bald, glasses, a navy suit that's seen better days. His office was cramped, file boxes stacked against one wall, diplomas crooked on another. He stood when I came in, shook my hand, firm grip. "Mrs. Fletcher, I'm very sorry for your loss." "Thank you." "Please sit." He gestured to a chair across from his. I sat, he sat, folded his hands on top of a thin file folder. "You found the envelope," he said. "I did." "And you've read everything inside?" "Yes." He nodded, opened the folder. Inside were copies of the same documents I'd found, the real will, the letter. "Your husband came to me 3 years ago, said he needed to update his estate plan. We drafted the will you have. He was very specific about wanting it filed separately from his other attorney." "Why?" "He didn't say exactly, but he seemed worried, cautious." Whitmore paused. He mentioned a woman, said she'd been asking questions about his finances, about his accounts. He was concerned she might try something. And he was right. Yes. Whitmore leaned back in his chair. "The will that Brennan read, the one giving everything to Catherine Moreno, is a forgery. A very good one, but still a forgery. Your husband's signature on that document doesn't match the exemplars we have on file." "How can you tell?" "Handwriting analysis. I've already had an expert look at it. The pressure, the flow, the letter formations, they're close but not exact. Someone copied Gerald's signature, probably traced it." "Catherine." "Most likely. She had access, motive, and apparently patience." I thought about 7 years, about Catherine sitting across from Gerald at dinners, in cars, in hotel rooms, learning his habits, his handwriting, his weaknesses. "What do we do?" I asked. "We file a motion to contest the fraudulent will. We present the real will, the one registered with the county. We subpoena the witnesses who signed it, Bill Turner and Susan Alfred, correct?" "Yes." "Are they willing to testify?" "I haven't asked yet, but they will." Whitmore smiled, small, tired. "You sound certain." "Bill's wife died 2 years ago. Gerald helped him arrange the funeral, drove him to the cemetery every Sunday for 6 months. And Susan, her son, was in trouble with the law. Gerald wrote a character letter for him, helped him get a lighter sentence. So they owe him. They owe him." Whitmore made a note. "Good. We'll need their depositions, and we'll need to prove Catherine had the means and opportunity to forge the fake will. Do you know if she had access to Gerald's personal papers, his office?" "He had an office at home, in the basement. She was never there, not while I was around, but Gerald spent a lot of time down there. He could have brought things to her, showed her documents." "We'll argue that. We'll also argue that the timing is suspicious. The fake will was allegedly executed 6 months ago, but Gerald never mentioned changing his estate plan. Never told you. Never told your children." "He wouldn't have. If he'd really wanted to leave everything to Catherine, he would have told me, filed for divorce, been honest." "Exactly." Whitmore closed the folder. "Mrs. Fletcher, I have to tell you, this won't be quick. Catherine will fight. Brennan will fight. We're looking at months, maybe a year, and there's a chance, small but real, that a judge could rule in her favor anyway. Forgery is hard to prove beyond doubt." "But you think we can win?" I think we have a very strong case. The real will is properly filed. The witnesses are credible. The forensic analysis supports forgery. Yes, I think we can win." I stood. "Then let's do it." He stood too, walked me to the door. "One more thing, Mrs. Fletcher. During this process, Catherine is going to make things difficult. She might move into the house before we get a restraining order. She might try to liquidate assets. She already tried to move in." His eyebrows went up. "When?" "Yesterday. Showed up at my house, asked me to help with the transition." "What did you say?" "I told her to get off my lawn." He smiled, actual warmth this time. "Good. Keep doing that. Don't let her intimidate you. Don't sign anything she gives you. Don't agree to anything verbally. Every interaction you have with her from now on should be documented." "Understood." "And Mrs. Fletcher," he hesitated, "your husband, Gerald, he was a complicated man, I think. What he did wasn't right, the affair, the secrets, but he tried to make it right in the end. That letter he left you, he meant it." I didn't answer. I left. Bill Turner was in his garage when I knocked, 74 years old, white hair, flannel shirt. He was sanding a birdhouse. "Jeannie," he said when he saw me. He set down the sandpaper. "How you holding up?" "I'm all right, Bill." "Heard about the will, that business with the girlfriend." He shook his head. "Gerald was a damn fool." Yes, he was. "You're here about the other will, I'm guessing." I blinked. "You know about it?" "Course I do. I signed it, me and Susan. Gerald asked us to witness it 3 years back, told us he wanted to make sure you were taken care of, that if anything happened, we should tell the truth about what we signed." Relief washed over me. "So you'll testify?" "Damn right I will." Bill picked up the sandpaper again, ran it over the edge of the birdhouse. "Gerald was my friend, but what he did to you wasn't right. And that woman, Catherine, she's a vulture. I've seen her type before. They circle dying men like sharks. She thinks she's won." "Let her think it." Bill looked at me. His eyes were sharp, clear. "You fight, Jeannie. You fight hard. And when you win, you kick her out of that house and you change the locks." "I will." "Good." He set down the birdhouse. "You need anything at all, you come knock. I mean it." "Thank you, Bill." I left, drove to Susan Alford's house. She was in her garden, 68 years old, short gray hair, dirt on her knees. She saw me coming and stood up. "Jeannie, I was wondering when you'd show up." "Susan, you want to talk about the will?" "Yes." She pulled off her gardening gloves. "Come inside, I'll make tea." We sat in her kitchen. She made oolong. We drank in silence for a moment. Then Susan said, "I like Gerald. He was a good man in a lot of ways, but he hurt you. And that woman he was seeing, she's going to try to take everything." "She already is." "Not if I have anything to say about it." Susan set down her cup. "I'll testify. I'll tell the court exactly what I saw. Gerald signing that will, him telling me it was for you, that he wanted to make sure you were protected." "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet. This is going to get ugly, Jeannie. Catherine won't go down easy. She's going to dig. She's going to find things. She's going to try to make you look bad." "I know." "Do you?" Susan leaned forward. "Because from where I'm sitting, you're too calm, too quiet. That woman is trying to steal your life, and you're acting like it's just another Tuesday." I met her eyes. "I am calm, Susan, because I know something Catherine doesn't." "What's that?" "I know I'm going to win." Susan smiled, slow. "There she is. There's the Jeannie I remember." The courthouse was cold. Gray walls, fluorescent lights, rows of wooden benches that smelled like old varnish. I sat in the 3rd row, right side. Patricia was next to me, Daniel on her other side. Whitmore sat at the plaintiff's table, organizing papers. Catherine sat at the defendant's table with Mr. Brennan. She was wearing black today, pearls still. Her hair was perfect, her makeup was perfect. She looked like a widow. I was wearing a blue cardigan and khakis. The bailiff called the court to order. Judge Morrison entered, a woman, maybe 60, gray hair pulled back, serious-minded expression. She sat, looked at both tables. "This is a hearing to contest the last will and testament of Gerald Fletcher, deceased," she said. Her voice was steady, bored almost, like she'd done this 1,000 times. "Plaintiff is Jeannie Fletcher, widow. Defendant is Catherine Marino, named beneficiary in the disputed will. Counsel, are you ready to proceed?" Whitmore stood. "Yes, Your Honor." Brennan stood. "Yes, Your Honor." "Plaintiff may present opening arguments." Whitmore stepped forward. He didn't look nervous. He looked tired, competent. "Your Honor, this case is straightforward. The will presented by Mr. Brennan and Miss Marino is a forgery. My client, Mrs. Fletcher, possesses the legitimate last will and testament of Gerald Fletcher, properly executed and filed with the county clerk 3 years prior to his death. We will demonstrate that the signature on the defendant's will is fraudulent, that the document was created without Mr. Fletcher's knowledge, and that Miss Marino engaged in a deliberate scheme to defraud Mrs. Fletcher of her rightful inheritance." Judge Morrison made a note. "Defense?" Brennan stood. "Your Honor, the will in question was executed in good faith by Mr. Fletcher. It was witnessed, notarized, filed with my office. Mrs. Fletcher's claim that this will is somehow fraudulent is not supported by evidence, but rather by bitterness and jealousy stemming from her husband's extramarital relationship with my client. This is an attempt to punish Miss Marino for her relationship with the deceased, nothing more." Bitterness, jealousy.
I kept my face still. Judge Morrison looked at Whitmore. "Plaintiff, call your first witness." The plaintiff calls Bill Turner. Bill walked to the stand. He was wearing a suit, old, a little tight but clean. He was sworn in, sat down. Whitmore approached. "Mr. Turner, how did you know Gerald Fletcher?" "Neighbor. Lived next door for 22 years. "Did Mr. Fletcher ever ask you to witness a legal document?" "Yes, 3 years ago. He asked me and Susan Alford to witness his will." "Can you describe what happened?" "Gerald came over one evening, said he'd been to a lawyer, had a will he needed witnesses for. Susan was there. We'd been playing cards. He showed us the will. We read it. It left everything to Jeannie, his wife. We signed as witnesses." "Did Mr. Fletcher seem coerced, confused?" "No, he was clear. Said he wanted to make sure Jeannie was taken care of." "Did he mention Catherine Marino?" "No." "Did he mention any other will?" "No." Whitmore nodded. No further questions. Brennan stood, walked toward Bill. "Mr. Turner, you said this was 3 years ago?" "Yes." "And you're certain of the date?" "Pretty certain." "Pretty certain, not absolutely certain." "I'm 74 years old. My memory's not perfect, but I remember signing that will." "Do you remember what you had for dinner last Tuesday?" Bill frowned. "No." "So your memory isn't reliable." "I remember important things." "Important to you, but Mr. Fletcher might have executed multiple wills over the years, different documents, different lawyers, and you might be conflating this will with another one." "I'm not conflating anything." "You can't be certain." "I am certain." Brennan smiled, thin. No further questions. If you've made it this far, thank you for watching, and before we continue, please subscribe to Whispers of Grandma. Let's keep breathing life into true stories that were never meant to stay silent. Stories like this deserve to be heard. Now, let's continue. Bill left the stand. Susan was called next. Same questions, same answers, same cross-examination. Brennan tried to poke holes, tried to suggest confusion, misremembering, bias. Susan didn't budge. Then Whitmore called his forensic expert, a woman named Dr. Lynn Garrison, handwriting analyst, 30 years of experience. She explained the signature differences, the pressure points, the pen strokes. She showed enlarged images on a screen, Gerald's real signature next to the signature on Catherine's will. The signatures are similar, Dr. Garrison said, but not identical. The one on the defendant's will shows hesitation marks, unnatural stops and starts, consistent with tracing or careful copying. Brennan cross-examined. Can you say with absolute certainty that the signature is a forgery? Handwriting analysis is not an exact science, but based on my examination, yes, I believe the signature on the defendant's will is not genuine. You believe, you don't know. I am confident in my analysis, but not certain. Dr. Garrison paused. I am as certain as forensic analysis allows. Brennan smiled again, sat down. Judge Morrison called for a recess. We stood outside the courtroom. Patricia was pacing. Daniel was on his phone. Whitmore leaned against the wall. That went well. Brennan is good, I said. He is, but so are we. Whitmore checked his watch. The judge will hear Catherine's side next. Be prepared. Brennan's going to paint Gerald as a man who fell out of love, who wanted a fresh start, who made a choice. I know. That and he's going to paint you as bitter. I know that too. Whitmore looked at me. You're not worried? No. Why not? Because the truth is on my side. He smiled. Let's hope the judge agrees. We went back inside. Catherine took the stand after the recess. She was sworn in, sat down, folded her hands in her lap. She looked nervous. Good.
Brennan approached. Miss Moreno, how did you meet Gerald Fletcher? At a charity event 7 years ago. He was volunteering. I was there with friends. And you began a relationship? Yes, not right away. We were friends first. Then it became more. Did Gerald ever discuss his marriage with you? Yes, he said he wasn't happy, that he and Jeannie had grown apart, that they stayed together out of habit, not love. I kept my face still. Patricia squeezed my hand. Did he ever discuss leaving his wife? Yes, many times. He said he wanted a divorce, but he was worried about hurting her, about how the kids would react. He kept putting it off. Did he discuss his estate plan with you? Yes, he said he wanted me to be taken care of, that he was going to update his will. And did he? Yes, 6 months ago. He told me he'd gone to Mr. Brennan's office, updated everything, made sure I'd inherit. Did he show you the will? No, but he told me about it. He was relieved. He said now I wouldn't have to worry. Brennan nodded. No further questions. Whitmore stood, walked slowly toward Catherine. Miss Moreno, you said Gerald wanted to leave his wife, wanted a divorce. Yes, but he never filed for a divorce? No, he was scared. Scared of what? Of hurting her. So he cared about her feelings. Yes, in his way. In his way. Whitmore paused. Did he ever tell you he loved you? Catherine blinked. Yes, many times. Did he ever tell you he loved his wife? I don't know. You don't know, but you were together 7 years. Surely it came up. He said they used to be in love, but not anymore. Not anymore. When did that change? I don't know exactly. Approximately. Maybe 10 years ago? 10 years ago. So 3 years before you met him. I guess. You guess. Whitmore picked up a piece of paper from his table. Miss Moreno, I have here a credit card statement from Gerald Fletcher's account dated 2 years ago. There's a charge for a jewelry store, $4,000. Do you know what that was for? Catherine's face paled. No. It was for an anniversary gift for his wife, a diamond bracelet. He had it engraved, to Jeannie, 40 years, forever. Silence. Does that sound like a man who fell out of love? He felt guilty. He was trying to make up for cheating on her, for lying to her, for betraying her. Objection, Brennan said. Argumentative. Sustained, Judge Morrison said. Whitmore stepped closer. Miss Moreno, you said Gerald told you he updated his will, made you the beneficiary. Yes. When did he tell you this? 6 months ago. Exactly 6 months? Around then. Around then. Can you be more specific? Late June, early July. And you didn't see the will? No. Didn't watch him sign it? No. Didn't witness it? No. So you have no direct evidence that Gerald executed this will voluntarily. He told me he did. He told you, but you don't know. I trust him. You trusted him, past tense. Whitmore paused. Miss Moreno, did you have access to Gerald's home office? No. Never? No. Did he ever bring you documents, show you papers? Sometimes. Bills, forms, nothing important. Nothing important. Did he ever show you his signature? What? His signature on documents. Did you see how he signed his name? Catherine hesitated. I suppose. Sometimes. Sometimes. Often enough to recognize it? Yes, I suppose. Often enough to copy it. Objection! Brennan stood. Your Honor, counsel is accusing my client of a crime without evidence. Your Honor, Whitmore said calmly, I'm establishing that Miss Moreno had opportunity and knowledge to forge a signature. Judge Morrison looked at Catherine, then at Whitmore. I'll allow it, but tread carefully, counsel. Whitmore nodded. Miss Moreno, did you forge Gerald Fletcher's signature on the will presented by Mr. Brennan? No. Did you hire someone to forge it? No. Did you conspire with anyone to create a fraudulent will? No. Then how do you explain the forensic analysis showing the signature is not genuine? I don't know. Maybe the expert is wrong. Maybe, or maybe you're lying. I'm not lying. You lied to Gerald's wife for 7 years. Why should this court believe you now? Catherine's face crumbled. Tears. Real or fake, I couldn't tell. I loved him, she said. I loved Gerald and he loved me. That's all that matters. Whitmore stared at her. Then he turned away. No further questions. Catherine left the stand. Brennan rested his case. Judge Morrison called for final arguments. Whitmore spoke first, summarized the evidence, the real will, the witnesses, the forensic analysis, the lack of credibility in Catherine's testimony. Brennan spoke next, argued that grief makes people irrational, that Mrs. Fletcher was hurt and angry, that the forensic expert was not infallible, that Catherine had no motive to forge a will. Gerald had promised to take care of her. Judge Morrison listened to both, made notes. Then she said, I'll render a decision within 30 days. Court is adjourned. She stood, left. We stood too. Patricia hugged me. Mom, you did great. I didn't do anything. You were there. That's enough. Daniel shook Whitmore's hand. What are our chances? Good. Better than good, but we wait now. I looked across the courtroom. Catherine was standing by the defendant's table. Brennan was talking to her. She was crying. He handed her a tissue. She looked at me. Our eyes met. For a moment I saw it. Fear. She knew. She knew she was going to lose. 23 days later, Whitmore called. Judge Morrison issued her ruling, he said. We won. I was in the kitchen, making tea. Earl Grey, same as always. Say that again, I said. We won, Mrs. Fletcher. The judge ruled that the will presented by Catherine Moreno is fraudulent. She's ordered that the legitimate will, the one you provided, be recognized as Gerald's true last testament. Everything goes to you. I sat down, slowly. Mrs. Fletcher, are you there? I'm here. The judge was very clear in her ruling. She said the forensic evidence was compelling, the witness testimony was credible, and Catherine's testimony was inconsistent and lacked corroboration. She also noted that the real will was properly filed and executed, while the fake one had irregularities. What happens now? Catherine has 30 days to vacate any claims to the estate, the house, the accounts, the cabin, the insurance, everything reverts to you. Brennan will likely advise her not to appeal. She'd lose. And the pearls? A pause. The pearls? My mother-in-law's pearls. Catherine's been wearing them. Those would be considered part of the personal property. They're yours. If she doesn't return them voluntarily, we can file a motion. I'll handle it. Mrs. Fletcher, I'll handle it. Thank you, Mr. Whitmore. I hung up, finished making the tea, sat at the table, drank it. Then I called Patricia. Mom, what's wrong? Nothing's wrong, honey. I wanted to tell you we won. Silence. Then, what? The judge ruled in our favor. The house is mine. Everything is mine. Patricia started crying. Oh my God, Mom, I can't believe it. I need to call Daniel. I need to. You do that. I'll talk to you later. I hung up, called Daniel next. Same conversation, same tears. Then I sat, alone, in my kitchen. I thought about Gerald, about 43 years, about the good days and the bad days, and the days in between. I thought about Catherine, about 7 years of lies, about her sitting in that courtroom, crying, thinking she deserved something. I thought about the pearls. Then I got up, got in my car, drove to Catherine's apartment. She lived in a complex on the east side, red brick, balconies, a pool that needed cleaning. I knocked on her door, apartment 312. She opened it, saw me. Her face went white. Mrs. Fletcher, Miss Moreno. We stood there. She was in jeans and a t-shirt, no makeup, hair pulled back. She looked tired, smaller somehow. I heard, she said quietly. I thought you might have. Brennan called this morning. Are you going to appeal? No. She looked at the floor. He said I'd lose, that I should let it go. Smart man. Catherine looked up. Her eyes were red. I loved him. I really did. I know. Do you? Yes, but love doesn't entitle you to anything. She flinched. I held out my hand. The pearls. What? My mother-in-law's pearls. You're wearing them. They belong to me. Catherine's hand went to her throat. She was wearing them. Of course she was. Please, she said. They're all I have left of him. You have nothing left of him. He wasn't yours. He gave them to me. He didn't have the right. Tears now. Real ones. Please, don't take them. I stepped closer. I came here to get what's mine. You can give them to me now, or I can file a motion and a sheriff will come get them. Your choice. She stared at me. Then, slowly, she reached back, unclasped the pearls, held them out. I took them. The strand was warm from her skin. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm sorry for all of it. I looked at her, this woman who'd slept with my husband, who'd worn his mother's jewelry, who tried to steal my home. No, you're not. You're sorry you got caught. I turned, walked away. She didn't follow. I drove home, walked inside. The house was quiet. I went to the bedroom, opened the jewelry box on my dresser, put the pearls inside, closed it. Then I lay down on the bed. Gerald's side was cold. It had been cold for weeks now. I closed my eyes. I thought about justice, about revenge, about winning. It didn't feel the way I thought it would. It just felt like silence. The next morning, I woke up at 6. Same as always. I made coffee, sat at the kitchen table. The house was quiet. My house. The pearls were upstairs in the jewelry box. The deed was in the safe. The accounts were unfrozen. Everything was exactly as it should be. I drank my coffee, looked out at the backyard. The tomatoes were ripe now, heavy on the vine. Patricia called at 8. "Mom, are you okay?" "I'm fine, honey. Daniel and I want to come over, celebrate. I'll bring lunch." "That's not necessary." "Mom, please, let us celebrate with you." I thought about it. Then I said, "All right, come at noon." They came, both of them. Patricia brought sandwiches from the deli on Oak Street. Turkey for me, roast beef for Daniel. We sat in the kitchen. We ate. "I still can't believe it," Daniel said. "That woman actually thought she'd get away with it." "She almost did," Patricia said, "if Dad hadn't left that envelope." "But he did," I said. They both looked at me. "He did," I repeated, "and now it's over." "Are you going to stay here, in the house?" Patricia asked. "Where else would I go?" "I don't know. It's big. It's a lot to manage alone. I've been managing it for 43 years. But now you're—" She stopped. "Alone," I finished. "I'm alone." Patricia reached across the table, took my hand. "You're not alone, Mom. You have us." "I know, but I was alone. They had their lives, their families, their problems. This house, my house, was mine to live in, mine to take care of, mine to walk through every morning and every night. Gerald's ghost was in every room, but ghosts don't pay bills, don't mow lawns, don't show up when the furnace breaks. I was alone, and that was fine. After Patricia and Daniel left, I walked through the house, the living room, the dining room, the stairs, the bedroom. I stopped in Gerald's office, the basement room where he'd spent so many hours. His desk was still covered with papers, bills, statements. A coffee mug I'd given him years ago, world's best dad. I sat in his chair, opened the top drawer. Inside were pens, paper clips, a calculator, and underneath a small notebook. I pulled it out, opened it. It was a journal, dated entries going back 2 years. I read the first entry. Catherine asked about the house today, how much it's worth. I told her I didn't know. She's getting curious. I need to be careful. The second, Jeannie made shepherd's pie tonight. I ate 2 helpings. She asked if I was happy. I lied and said yes. The third, I don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to leave. I don't know how to stay. I'm stuck. I kept reading, page after page. Gerald's handwriting, Gerald's words, Gerald's guilt. On the last page, dated 2 weeks before he died, I'm going to tell Catherine it's over. I'm going to file the real will with Whitmore and make sure Jeannie is protected. I've wasted too much time, too many years. I don't expect forgiveness, but I owe her the truth. I closed the notebook, set it on the desk. He never told Catherine it was over, never got the chance. The heart attack came first, and Catherine, she'd made her move before Gerald could end it. I thought about that, about timing, about how close she came to winning. 15 minutes. That's how long it took Gerald to die in that parking lot. 15 minutes from the first chest pain to the last breath. 15 minutes, and Catherine had spent 7 years preparing for them. That night I couldn't sleep. I went downstairs, made tea, chamomile. I sat at the table. The house creaked around me, old bones settling. I thought about Gerald, about the journal, about the man he'd been versus the man he'd wanted to be. I thought about Catherine, about whether she knew Gerald planned to end things, whether that's why she forged the will. I thought about myself, about the woman I'd been, the woman I was now. 43 years of marriage, 4 weeks of widowhood, 1 court case, and here I was, alone in my kitchen at 2 a.m, drinking tea. Victorious. I finished the tea, rinsed the cup, set it in the dish rack. Then I went back upstairs, got into bed, and I thought about tomorrow, about the tomatoes that needed picking, about the garden that needed weeding, about the bills that needed paying, about all the small, ordinary things that make up a life. Gerald was gone. Catherine was gone. But I was still here, in my house, at my table, in my bed, still here. And that was enough. 3 months later, I sold the cabin. I didn't need it. The memories there were too mixed, good and bad all tangled together. I used the money to take Patricia's kids to Disney World, paid for everything, flights, hotel, tickets, meals. Daniel came too, brought his family. We spent a week there. Hot sun, long lines, too much ice cream.
On the last day, Patricia hugged me. "Thank you, Mom, for everything." "You're welcome, honey." "Are you happy?" I thought about that. Happy. What a word. "I'm content," I said, and I was. Content to wake up every morning in my house, content to drink my tea at my table, content to tend my garden, content to be alone. Not lonely, not bitter, not broken, just alone, and that was enough. The pearls stayed in the jewelry box. I never wore 'em. Sometimes I'd open the box, look at 'em, remember, but I never put 'em on. They belonged to the past, to Gerald's mother, to a version of my life that didn't exist anymore. Now they were just pearls, pretty, expensive, meaningless. One day, maybe soon, maybe years from now, I'd give 'em to Patricia, let her decide what to do with 'em. But for now, they stayed in the box, and I stayed in my house, alone, content, enough. If this story resonated with you and you've ever felt taken for granted, let me know in the comments. Share your own quiet acts of strength. For more real stories about finding your voice later in life, subscribe and turn on the bell for the Grandma's Chair. Bye for now.